back to Three Pete Sports. This is episode 6. This is fantasy time, fantasy football. And here's Dustin, Aldo. We're here back again. You know, we're just, we haven't had a full episode dedicated to fantasy and anything. So we're going to start off with fantasy football. And here we go. We got top 25 in front of us. We're going to talk about it, who we think should be higher, who we think should be lower. We'll figure it out right now. All right, so what do you guys think about the top 5? Top 5 right now?
Well, basically, top 5 right now is Arian Foster, Aaron Rodgers, Ray Rice, Sean McCoy, and of course, my boy Tom Brady. This is a good starting 5. I mean, it's a good top 5. I mean, can't debate, you know, Arian Foster, Aaron Rodgers, Ray Rice being in the top 3. Those are definitely top 3 players. LeSean McCoy, he had a good season last season, And Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady also had a really good fantasy season, with the Gronk, with the Gronk, and he always produces good fantasy numbers. So yeah, I'm not gonna debate the top 5. Top 5, I think, is a reasonable top 5. That's definitely a good one.
Yeah, I think it's good. Having a running back at the number 1 spot is good because that's actually a changing point in your fantasy league. Running backs are real important, especially if you're in a league where there's an option of a third running back or a third receiver, and you can make that third running back. If you have 3 solid running backs, you're set for the year. You could have an average quarterback and have 3 straight solid running backs, and
you'll make playoffs.
You'll make playoffs, definitely, especially with a good defense.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks are a little low, in my opinion. The first quarterback, of course, is Aaron Rodgers at number 2, but then you go down to 5 is the next quarterback with Tom Brady, 5 and 6, having Drew Brees, and the next quarterback below that isn't until Matt Stafford at 10.
Yeah.
So this looks like fantasy-wise, running backs are important as they've always been, but definitely you have down after the top 5, you have Drew Brees, Maurice Jones-Drew, Calvin Johnson, Ryan Matthews, which is a surprise.
That's
very big surprise in the top 10.
Haven't seen enough of him yet.
Yeah, number 10 is Matt Stafford, like I said before.
He had a good fantasy season last season.
Yeah, he had a good season.
Oh, he did.
Chris Johnson, surprisingly, is number 11? Yeah, that's 11.
Yeah.
He's number 11. That's kind of stretching it because the past couple of years hasn't been that great. He's been drafted high, but it hasn't been that great when he's produced numbers. When numbers come, it hasn't been too well. I would choose a handful of running backs before him. His name is bigger than the actual fantasy value.
It really is.
True. But maybe that's why he's so high, because you draft him, but because his name is such a high fantasy value, you can just trade him immediately. People are like, I'm going to have Chris Johnson.
True, that is true.
So maybe that's my opinion. Maybe that's why he's a little bit higher than he should be.
If you get Chris Johnson, use him as trade bait.
That's exactly.
You have a couple of solid receivers.
Exactly. You can even get a good quarterback for him. I mean, I remember I actually drafted Chris Johnson last year and actually got Matthew Stafford for him. So that was a good trade. Yeah. And look, when Matthew Stafford produced a great season last season, and won me the title.
All right. After that, you got Larry Fitzgerald actually at 12, Cam Newton at 13, which is very solid. I expect him to be a late first-round pick, as I said before in previous videos. After that, you got
the
Gronk, which is
number 1
tight end. He's the first tight end in the top 25, and he is at number 14. So he's in the top 15, which is, you could expect a lot produced from him. I expect more points from him than Chris Johnson, which is a surprise that Chris Johnson is that high.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, everyone's pretty had a good position. Darren McFadden at 15, closing out top 15. That's right, as long as he stays healthy. He's a solid running back.
And Trent Richardson is a top 25. Actually, do you think that's a little too high? Because I mean, he hasn't even proven himself in the NFL yet. I mean, we don't know.
I think it's actually pretty good because he's gonna be, like, to me, a sleeper. Now. He's going to be a sleeper pick only for the reason that top 25 is within the first 3 rounds. So I could see him being a late second, early third round pick only for the reason that he's like Cam Newton of last year. You pick him early because you want to take the risk, take the chance, because he could turn out to be really good.
Yeah, and then
Cam Newton's fantasy points were amazing last year, and if you drafted him, which he did in our league last year, and everyone was against it, and he said, no, watch. And that's exactly what happened. Cam Newton had one of the top quarterback points in fantasy.
Definitely.
And I think that could happen with Trent Richardson. Even though the Browns aren't very good, it's an individual thing you're looking at. Maurice Jones-Drew Jaguars weren't too good. You got the rushing record.
Yeah.
So,
he's going to get carries.
Or rushing king.
He's definitely going to get carries. I mean, they don't have a solid...
And if Peyton Hillis can do pretty decent at running there,
Yeah.
he's gonna do better. So
I mean, to make the man cover,
Yeah.
you have to do a pretty good, decent job.
Yeah.
And Peyton Hillis did that. So
And he's more like a fullback position. This guy's a traditional running back,
halfback
and
position.
He's
and
the best coming out of college this past year.
Yeah,
So
Julio Jones is actually at 22. I think that's a little low for him. He should be in top 20 at least because he produced good fantasy numbers
Yeah.
last year. AJ Green too is right at 24, and I think that's them two receivers are better than they're showing in the top 25. Closing out the top 25, you have DeMarco Murray, which is a great pickup
Yeah.
in about third to fourth round. I would take. He's going to be a solid running back, but there is obviously bigger running backs than that. One player I think who should be in the top 25, but because of injury, obviously no one knows how he's going to come back from it. Jamal Charles is at 26. He should be in the top 25, but because of injury, no one really knows.
Exactly.
And he's sharing carries with Peyton Hillis now. That was a new free agent pickup. So splitting carries, probably 60-40. Jamal Charles getting the major load. I do think that Peyton Hillis will affect because he will be a pretty decent running back.
A couple of noticeables outside the top 25. You have, Victor Cruz at a number. What number we got here? Number 36. You also got Tony Romo at 34. Percy Harvin, 38.
Des Bryant's at 39. That's actually actually low. He
Yeah,
should be,
I think
he should be top 30 at least.
Des Bryant is my sleeper pick.
Yeah,
Definitely. Michael Vick is
Yeah,
also
big
going to
year.
be a sleeper quarterback pick, I think. Michael Vick's
Yeah,
at 41.
41
And I mean,
power
when he stays healthy, he puts up
he puts
big
up numbers. So that's
So,
another noticeable outside the top 25, definitely.
Demarius Thomas. Do you think that's a little high for him
At 35?
It might be high, but the reason why he's at 35 is because of Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
And they think him and Peyton Manning are going to have this connection.
Yeah.
And I mean, him and Tim Tebow had a connection. And
Yeah.
Tim Tebow's not Peyton Manning. So,
Yeah.
so Peyton Manning, as long as he stays healthy, Demarius Thomas is a great pick. Of course, he's later rounds. I'd pick him 6th, 7th round in an average league. Other than that, Michael Turner's at 42. That's pretty low for a guy who ran solid the majority of the year.
What about Fred Jackson
At
at 45?
45.
That's pretty low for him.
That's really low actually, but they're looking at
They're looking at him coming off an injury.
because
Because,
that's the same effect with
look,
Jamal Charles too. You got
Fred
those two
Jackson,
guys.
I picked Fred Jackson last season, one of my second picks. He was my starter in the beginning, put up great numbers for me till he got injured. In the end, I think he'll have a good season if he does come back from that injury. He'll have a good season like he did last year with the Bills. Another person to take notice is Peyton Manning at 58. Peyton Manning, what do you think about that?
That could be average. I think he should be top 50 though, not above 50. He should be top 50 only for the reason that injury.
Yeah.
Injury again. All the guys who have suffered an injury last year is below top 25 for the reason that they got injured, and no one knows exactly. Ahmad Bradshaw is with Michael Turner at 43, Michael Turner at 42. I think that's both low for them just for the reason that they score a lot of touchdowns. Michael Turner scores a ton of touchdowns. He doesn't necessarily get a lot of yardage. Of course, this year, Jaquiz Rogers is going to get a lot of the yardage, but Michael Turner will be the guy pounding it into the end zone. That gets you
a lot of points.
6 points a touchdown, and if he gets 2 touchdowns here and there, per game, that's a lot of fantasy points.
There you go.
Outside of the top 50, we got Darren Sproles and Reggie Bush at 51, 52 respectively. How do you think that goes?
That's average around the 50 range for Darren Sproles and Reggie Bush.
I think it's a good spot.
Yeah,
for
that's a
him.
pretty decent spot.
Definitely. Another person to take note of is Ben Jarvis Green Ellis at 59, and he's actually one of the few players that has never fumbled. And
yeah, it's new team, new atmosphere. He has to earn his way through, just like anyone else.
Definitely.
So I think that's why. But eventually, his power rankings shift. Once week 2, week 3 comes around, power rankings are going to jump up and down, up and down.
You're
even
going to be
after the first
trading,
week.
you're going to be going out.
Even after first week, because things happen. Injuries happen. Guys, go through a slump. They rush for 3 yards sometimes in a game, and you're like, oh man, things happen. So the guys will constantly drop and raise depending on their performances. But we'll keep you guys updated when we do our draft. We're gonna all be in the same league together, and the individual will be outside of our own league. So doing different things, let you guys know how we're doing, how our players, what our opinions are.
Exactly.
We'll also do an episode on baseball. And then when basketball comes around, we will get to basketball too. But
definitely.
for now, let's close it out, right?
Let's close it out. Definitely, guys. Thank you for watching. This was just a quick little show on our fantasy. Like
more to come.
More to come, and make sure to click the football to subscribe. Click the baseball to view past episodes. And for Dustin and Rob Amaldo, for 3P Sports, we'll see you guys soon.
All right, see you guys
Later.